Hello listeners, today's video is going to be a little bit longer than the videos I usually make, but trust me, it's totally worth it because I had a really interesting conversation with a gentleman from the Netherlands, and he's learning Chinese by himself, and I'm also learning English by myself, so it was really interesting to find out what he thinks about learning a language really is, how to learn a language, and what his perspectives on Chinese languages, especially whether Cantonese is considered a language or a dialect, are really interesting. So definitely keep watching until the end of this video and let me know whether you think Cantonese is a language or a dialect. How did you learn Chinese? It seems like you're learning Chinese, right?
Yeah, but not officially. I don't have a teacher, or I don't go to classes or school or something.
So you're basically I guess you're learning Chinese by yourself?
I cannot hold a conversation. Yeah, I can say hello, and then the other person says, "Oh, you speak Chinese?" And then I say, "Yeah, only a little bit." And then always the questions are the same. Why? Where? Did you go to China? So I recognize these questions. My listening skill is actually quite good, which is weird for students. Wow. Because usually they hit the books and they learn grammatica or radicals or I don't know. But when I'm doing nothing or when I'm playing some Minecraft, many times I have Chinese content on my second screen. So sometimes these are polyglots on YouTube who try to find, for example, Ome TV or Omegle. Do you know this?
Yeah,
you can hook up with a random person on the world.
Yeah.
And then if you fill in China, then 95% of the times you get Chinese people.
Yeah.
So I like to, and when you learn a language, you're not only learning a language, you also learn the culture. And a big part of Chinese culture is food and language itself inside China. So I learned about dialects and accents and Dongbei-hua and Guangdong-hua and these kind of things. So this is, but I cannot hold a conversation. For example, Cantonese is really a different language. But in mainland China, many people say, "Oh, this is a dialect of Putonghua." But everybody knows it's not like that.
Yeah, exactly. I actually speak Cantonese, and I know. Wow, it seems like you actually know quite a lot about Chinese already. I actually asked ChatGPT and I Googled it, and it said that it's about mutual understanding. Like if they can understand each other through the sound of the language, then it's probably a dialect. But if they don't understand each other, then it's actually a language.
Yeah, and I think people in the north from Nemongu or people from Xinjiang, they will not understand.
Right, exactly. Is English one of the official languages in Holland? Oh, should I call it Holland or I should call it Netherlands, right?
The Netherlands.
Yeah, the Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Yeah.
The Netherlands.
No, it's not an official. It's not an official language here. But for example, our public television never used dubbing. They always used subtitles. So I learned. I heard English. English came into my brain before I could even speak. My father and mother, they were listening to the Beatles and to the Rolling Stones. I'm not sure if you know these bands, but they are big old American and English music bands, and they were fan of them. So I heard all the music is UK and US oriented. Our movies are UK and US oriented. There are also Dutch movies and Dutch music, but so as a child you get this a lot around you because you don't learn a language in school. You learn a language by speaking and by practicing and by experiencing. So then I had to speak English. And and I'm also a computer nerd. So I think I was like 20 when I had my first own computer. And I pirated the Windows, of course, and I had a choice between Dutch Windows or English Windows. And I think it took me like 10 seconds to decide I'm going to choose English because I want to be part of the internet, and 90% of the internet is English. Mm-hmm. Not anymore, but back in the days, the US was really the pioneer in this. So I always had my computer in English. I always had my telephones in English. I can dream in English. So
wow,
it's easy for me.
Yeah, it's the same for me. It's like since I started learning English myself 10 years ago, I switched all of my devices into English. And I also feel like, I agree with you, I also feel like experiencing the English, the language that you're learning is very important, especially like listening to it every day and try to use it every day actually are very important if you want to really like learn the language.
Yeah, I think humans learn by repetition.
Right.
You see or you read or how to do it, but then you need to do it yourself. If you do it only one time and then 2 weeks you don't do this, you're gonna forget. So every time you learn something, you need to put it into practice, and then it will stick. Otherwise, you will forget.
Yeah.
And that's why I said you cannot learn a language in school. You can learn it in school, and then you go outside to put it into practice and encase it in your brain, so to speak, to keep it, to make it a part of you.